The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
There we are.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Riv, and boy, do we have a boatload of stuff
After
to
a
talk about.
special city council
And
meeting.
I'll tell you, it was special. It was definitely a special K meeting, and something that was really, really telling. I hope everybody, if you didn't watch it, please go back and watch it, and you will see that they've reinforced everything we've said about how disingenuous and hypocritical and flat-out liars they are. We saw Mr. Iacopone talking about the debt override.
Yep.
The mayor chiming in. They didn't know anything about, they weren't sure about the numbers, yet, go back and look at the tape, yet, when Michelle Dion, who's one of the few people that presses about anything, started pressing him about the numbers, what did they do? The mayor, Mr. Transparency, said, oh, I have the numbers in my office. I'll share them with you if you want. No, I don't want you to share them with Michelle Dion. I want you to share them with the taxpayers, which includes Michelle Dion. They're our representatives. You should have been sharing this number right from the get-go. And they want to bury it in with the taxes. So we'll never know how much they're really charging. And that is actually, I believe, a violation of the law. Because our budget is supposed to be financed with monies that are below the 2.5. If we exceed 2.5, there has to be a reason, i.e. debt override. So that debt override is in addition to the budget. That has to be notated. The taxpayers, that is a debt with a time certain. Once it's paid, it stops. And I am going to remind them by citing, oh God, don't tell me what happened here. How come I missed this? Let me see. Well, I think I tapped the wrong one. Time out. Let me get this here.
Paraphrase it.
Oh, well, it was the article that Channel 10 put out that they told Channel 10, and it may be in somebody else's, I actually wanted to download it last night, but I got tied up with other things talking to people about what happened at the meeting. Fundamentally, what it said was, and I'll pull up the article and we can put it on our page, because we have it now. It was emailed to me. Actually, I know where it is now. Now that I just mentioned that, I realize where it is. But what they said, and I will pull this up. And before I do, I will tell you what it says. It said in the article that we're going to pay $115 and approximately $800 by the end, and the debt would be paid off. This is it. Channel 10, WJAR, Fall River residents to vote on funding new high school. Residents in Fall River will head to the polls Tuesday to vote, blah, blah, blah. Proposed $260 million school, blah, blah, blah. Residential taxpayers would expect to pay $115 a year, or about $800 over 7 years. Okay, that's right directly from the article. You can look it up. You know what fascinates me? Mr. Transparency's never transparent. He wants to meet with Michelle privately. With the budget, he wanted to meet with them individually so he could lie his butt off and make deals, play let's make a deal. I am now anointing him the deceiver in chief. Because that's what he does. He is the deceiver in chief. He is so full of crap. I hate to tell you this, Paul, but you were talking about those numbers before we even voted on it. Every single neighborhood meeting that CJ and I were on the opposite side of, you were talking about this debt override, and you had all the numbers, and you made promises. You even promised that we probably wouldn't get it because we'd be so flush by that time, we probably wouldn't even need to institute the debt override. But we knew that was a lie because you guys can't stop spending money.
Hold on. The mayor said we're flush with cash.
Yeah, we're
he
flush.
He said that yesterday.
Yeah,
we're flush with cash.
I know.
So,
well,
and Kevin Agia called him on it. And I got to give credit. I got to give credit to Kevin, a lot of credit, because he called the mayor out on a lot of things. And the one thing that he called him out on was the numbers for the debt exclusion. Nobody knew the exact amount. Paul said I have the numbers in the office, as you said.
Well, why? Well, before you, I got to get this because this is the whole thing. They should all be fired. Aya Capone should be fired. Number one, he lied about the health care, what he did and how they did it. They did nothing. Gallagher brought those things in. CanRx has been here for decades. He doesn't know crap, and neither does the mayor about anything that happened. Let's give credit where credit is due. The only people that were involved in this thing were Madeline Coelho and now Nick. And Nick was there too before he left, and then he came back now. And the PEC. Give credit to the people that represent the unions and the retirees, i.e. me, that sat at tables for months negotiating these savings. You didn't do anything. I could ask you 3 questions right now about the health care that you wouldn't have the answer to because you don't know crap about that. So there you go again. We bought the fire apparatus when the feds paid for it. We did this, we did it. You did absolutely nothing to save that money. All you got to do was spend it and not put it away. But let's get back to Paul. He doesn't know anything, yet during every single neighborhood meeting, he knew exactly how much we were going to pay. He told us that. They put it in the article. Last night, I know nothing. Well, you're lying. Then you turned around and showed on camera what a BSer you are. Oh, I got the numbers in my office. Really? Aya Capone should be fired. You got the numbers. You're going to talk about that, and then he says, I don't know. When the numbers are in your office, you're lying to the public. You can't say you don't know, then turn around and say, well, I got the numbers in my office, but by the way, since we're having a meeting on the numbers, I left them in my office. You think you might have said, well, they're in the office, let me go get them? Where's the counsel? As soon as that left his lips, the counsel should have said, go up and get the numbers.
Exactly.
Go up and get the numbers. We're taking a 5-minute recess. Go up and get the numbers so the taxpayers, the people you've kept in the dark, and continue just like you did with Malone, just like you did with everything. It's always no comment, no comment, no comment. We didn't get to see the Malone report. We don't get to see anything. And we're paying the freight. This is ridiculous. That meeting showed exactly how disingenuous the deceiver-in-chief is.
Well, when you and I deal with numbers, whether it be money or whatever the case may be, we have a vague idea of what the numbers are after we walk away from them. Yeah. And we can kind of, and especially you have a steel trap for numbers. So he had no idea. Nothing. You know, Michelle Dean said, I think it was $4.5 million a year. And Paul gave some wacko number. And Kevin Agia said, no. I remember what it was because I heard it from you all the time. It was $3.6 million a year in debt exclusion. And then to add insult to injury, before all of that happened, Aya Capone kept saying that no, there will not be a separate line item on the tax bill so you know how much you're paying in the debt exclusion. It's going to be rolled into the taxes. And Michelle was not happy with that. And Sean Kadim said, I think what you're looking for is to have a separate line item for that debt exclusion. And Michelle said, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Because that's what he promised. Because that is what Paul promised. He says, you will see on the tax bill a line that says debt exclusion and the amount.
Yeah, but you know, political promises are worthless. He made a lot of promises. He doesn't know the numbers. Well, obviously, look, you're right. I do have a great recall for numbers. I always did. I have a great recall for virtually anything I really want to remember. I want to forget a lot of things like council meetings, and I don't remember anything virtually about those things. But the reality is, that is a lie. It's, again, deception, deflection, duplicitousness. I got all of D's. I got 3 D's now. Okay, I can move on. But how can you not know a number that you spent the entire, at every single neighborhood meeting, regurgitating those numbers, making the promise that we may not have to institute the debt override, but if we do, you're going to pay $115 a year, and basically about a total of $800 at the end of a 7-year period. But now you forget, you're clueless, you don't know anything. You're supposed to know. You're the mayor. You're supposed to know. The buck stops there. You don't have to be Harry Truman, because you can delegate some authority, but you can't delegate responsibility. You are responsible for everything that happens to this city, and you don't do anything. All you do is hide behind a curtain like Biden. We got our own mini Joe Biden, and you don't remember anything. You've got what I call political amnesia, because politicians always forget the facts when they're not in their favor. And he pretends, I don't, off the top of my head, there's nobody in this city who should know the numbers better than you. You're the damn mayor. We're looking at a huge, gigantic bill, and you don't have every single number? You went down to that meeting unprepared? You're pathetic. And everybody that works in the finance department for the past decade has been pathetic. And I know they're pathetic because I've got a benchmark. I saw Alan Sylvia in front of the council. You didn't even want to ask him about the numbers, because you'd be there 5 hours later and he'd be regurgitating them without even looking at the paper. I saw Bob Connors always have the numbers. I had Jim Smith. I saw Jim Smith always having the numbers. Now we got 5 people doing a job of 1. Now you have to have a CFO. The city administrator doesn't do numbers. Alan Silver was city administrator. He did everything. Did the finances, did everything. Connors, everything. Go back and look at some of the tapes of those meetings. Well, I mean, this is absurd. It is absurd. We have a non-mayor. This guy doesn't know the answer to anything. And I hate to tell you this, but when you're in charge, you're supposed to know. It's like a fire chief not knowing how many trucks he's got at a fire. Oh, you know, what are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. You know, I don't even know how many trucks I got here. You're the mayor. You're talking about the city, the biggest bill the city's facing for the next 8 years. And you don't have a clue.
I'll go one better than that. We don't have a debt exclusion for Diamond.
No.
And they're going to need $6.5 million a year more to pay for that school. Where is that going to come from? They don't know. I'm going to tell you where it's going to come from. Yeah, we're flush with cash. I'm going to tell you where it's going to come from. The debt exclusion is going to continue past the 7 or 8 year mark. It's going to.
It can't.
No, it can. Remember, it's a 30-year loan. The voters voted for it for 30 years.
Yeah, but remember,
I remember what the promises were, but like you said, political promises are useless.
Yeah, but there's a problem here, and I'll tell you what. I'll go to court if I'm still above the dirt. Because that debt exclusion was for Durfee.
I know it was.
And when it's paid, it's paid. It's over.
Right.
You don't continue it for another debt.
I agree. I agree.
That debt is for Durfee, and I'm telling you right now, if you think you're going to pull that, you're wrong, because we're going to be watching. That's why we want to know how much money you're dragging out right now, because we want to see if any of that is going to go to subsidize the $6.5 million, which, by the way, violates the $5 million go to the voters.
Yep.
Again, another big, giant, double middle finger from both hands and maybe your toes to the taxpayers of Fall River. What? Us worry? We don't have to talk. We have to ask them. I brought my other stuff. Article 4, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Constitution, part of the first Article 4. The people of this Commonwealth have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves. Article 5, all power residing originally in the people and being derived from them. The several magistrates and officers of government vested with authority, whether legislative, that's the city council, executive, that's you, Paulie, or judicial, which we really don't have on a local level, are their substitutes and agents, and are at all times accountable to them, which means the people. So when we have councilors with the arrogance, the unmitigated arrogance to say that they do not have to answer to the people for anything or everything. They don't even know the damn Constitution they swore an oath to.
Well, I'll tell you right now, one of the things that I found very interesting last night was that, again, Kevin Agia had all the numbers. He said it was $3.6 million and that was promised. Okay. But Kevin Agia also brought something out very interesting, and he stuck it right to Trot Lee. Stuck it right to Trot Lee. He turned around and he says, the school committee votes on all of our ESSER money, which is ARPA money for the school departments. We vote on all of it. It's a shame that the city council doesn't do that. And Trot Lee goes, well, we were told by corporate counsel that we can't do that, and I didn't want to take it to court. What?
Yeah,
This city council, all of them, is so afraid to take a lawsuit against the city because we don't want to jack up the expenses. Too bad. Let them do what's right the first time, and they don't have to go to court.
well, you're right, but the problem is they don't care about
Exactly.
people. They don't care. Look, they don't care about the average person, and all we have to do is look. I think the last show we talked about Johnston, Rhode Island.
Yep.
We talked about what they did with Amazon, what they did with what they've done now, what they're looking at helping people, taxpayers. They're looking at, now we have a Somerset selectman candidate who's saying that he wants to not tax retirees who have lived in Somerset for more than 5 years. Also, Rhode Island, again, we looked at Johnston. This morning on the news before I left here, they're talking on a state house level about rent control because this inflation is killing everybody and taxes are killing everybody. Everybody is worried about the people who actually comprise the majority of Fall River, which, by the way, according to the United States Census Bureau, has an average per capita income of $25,000 a year, which is less than half of the state average. And their household average is less than half. We have people, and I can tell you that the median income of a retiree in Fall River is $22,000. How can you afford to live today? How can these people are gonna, and they know that, and they said that on television, but apparently Fall River doesn't know about its crime rate because the mayor said that the crime is going down, and then we got voted the #1 city in crime, and I've got that article on my phone too. But you can all read it. We'll give it to you. But it seems the only place on the planet that doesn't appreciate the problem that the poor are in, the people on a fixed income, is Fall River. They know about it in Johnston. They know about it in Rhode Island. They're talking about it everywhere. But our state house, our state reps, our local reps don't give a damn. And we live in one of the poorest, if not the poorest, community in the Commonwealth. So there's a problem, people, and they're not going to fix it. You have to fix it next November.
And here's what's interesting, because I heard an elected official on the radio, and he turned around and he says, this is the last bastion. He says, people can't go any further south than Fall River, because for lower rent or whatever, Fall River's it. And he says, and at $1,500 a month for a 3-bedroom, that's low rent. He goes, when you're looking in Somerset and Swansea for rent, you're looking at $2,000, $3,000. You might as well get a mortgage. It's true. And he goes, where are they going to go once they're here? He goes, you know where they're going to go? Along the Quikasham Rail Trail, which I walked the other day, and I saw all the tents out from the homeless.
Didn't we say that on the show?
Yeah.
He must be watching our show, because I said that when these arrogant elitists, or as that individual said, elitists, however you want to call it, the pronunciation, I guess, is based on your social status. It's homage or homage, depending on whether you're just a regular person and you want to speak English, not pretend you know French. So this is what they feel. They don't care about us. Isn't it ironic that Somerset is worried about people affording their taxes and rents, and their average income is $84,115 versus $43? It's nearly double. But they're worried about it. There are people who, when they gas up their car, now can't buy enough food for the month. They're going to have to stuff themselves with things that are filling, but maybe not nutritious. There's no place to go. They're right. From here, it's living in a tent. Fall River is one of the cheapest, and it's no longer being cheap because they keep building. Oh, speaking of market rate housing, I got to get this one in. I didn't get a picture because I got a call on it last night. We'll take a picture for Monday's show. One of our viewers called me up and said, "Hey, you know the King Philip Mill?" I said, "Yeah, I know it well." They said, they've already built 2 houses and the mill's not even down yet. They're already building houses on a little corner of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's your rich developers. They're already building a house. The site isn't even cleared yet. Greed. Remember what I said from the Labor's Untold Story.
Well, the problem with King Philip Mill is it's had nothing but problems since day one. And the developer dished out a lot of money, and he's got to recover some of that money. Yeah. So that could be why he's building those houses. But again, who wants to buy a house looking at that wreck? Yeah. I don't want to spend $300,000, $400,000 on buying a house looking at that wreck.
Yeah, and how long is it going to take them to demolish it completely?
Exactly.
So you're going to buy a house and look out your window with backhoes demolishing a mill.
Exactly.
I mean, that's absurd. But look, that's the absurdity of it. But look, this is the problem. This is not a political war. It's not Republic against Democrat. It's a class war. It's rich against poor. We know what they said 200 years ago in Labor's Untold Story. We elected a Republican governor on the West Coast and a Democratic governor on the East Coast. We own all the congressmen and senators, and we don't care who's in the White House because we're the rich, and this is our country. And today, it's the same, except they're not quite, well, now they are becoming quite as blatant. When Bloomberg says, well, if you're poor, ride the bus. Get rid of your car, ride the bus, eat lentils instead of meat. And if your dog's sick and it needs chemo, let it die. What do I care about you? And then when he's asked about why he wants to defund the police, but he's got his own private police force. He said, because I'm rich and important. So they finally come out of the closet. He ran for president. He lasted about 3 days when he ran for president, because when he got on the stage, they found out that he was nothing more than somebody who didn't care about anybody but rich. And the problem in Fall River is we're a community, a blue-collar community at best, always have been. Hard-working people, now we have people that most of them don't work. And the problem is that this city is poor. And to see every surrounding community, even the bordering state, concerned about the plight of people with fixed incomes and low incomes, and not even hear a word of it except from Michelle Dion, from our council, and our mayor to pretend to be clueless, because I can tell you something, nobody's that clueless, even him.
If he is, he's in deep trouble.
This is outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, all we've heard is, the numbers are in my office. Why are they in your office? Nobody asked that question. These are questions that should have been asked.
But nobody asked, why didn't you bring them?
Exactly.
Why didn't you bring them down?
Nobody asked these questions. They're afraid of offending the mayor, it appears. You know what? If I was a city councilor and I was sitting there, I'd say, you know what, Mr. Mayor? Get up off your butt and get upstairs and get the numbers for me. I want those numbers now. Just like when Mary Sahadi was in office and she said, oh, I don't have those numbers, but they're in my office.
Yeah.
I move that you go and get those numbers right now.
Yeah. But they won't, like you said.
No.
But I'd be a little bit more indelicate than you.
So would I.
I would have said, of course, you're in the well, so you have to have some decorum. So you'd have to address him as Mr. Mayor. You'd say, Mr. Mayor, you just proved you lied to us. You say you don't know the numbers, but they're in your office. So obviously, either you never read it, but go up and get them now. Because you just said that Aya Capone and you both lied to us. Because you don't have a clue, but the numbers are in your office, and you will share it with us, but only behind closed doors. So let's hide it again from the people. The guy who ran on transparency, you can just name every situation we've ever had. Malone, no transparency. Corky Road shooting, nothing. Every problem we faced in Fall River, no comment, nothing. Let's see what he does about the police department. This is, we need, and I'll tell you what, Council, you better get your head out of your derrieres, because once these bills start hitting people, you saw what happened to Flanagan. Well, the next election, they're going to come after you with pitchforks and torches.
I'll tell you right now, last night on Citizens Input, Colin Dias brought up something very important. Paul's so transparent, but he has hired or engraced himself with Ken Fiola to handle all of these projects and all of these things that he's getting paid for, but he's also serving as a consultant to the TIF board, to TIF board clients, to the state peer, and all of this. And yet, he doesn't have to provide any of the documents regarding those programs because he's not subject to the to Public Records Act, because he's a private corporation. And because he's a private corporation, you don't have to do it. And then Paul turns around and says, oh, no, I don't know what they're talking about. Those documents are available. Well, how come we can't get them? We can never get them.
Sounds like illegal in a private individual, and it also sounds like collusion. This could be a RICO violation. This could be public corruption at its worst.
Yeah, worse than Jezos. I'll tell you right now. And I can't believe I'm saying that again. So we're at the point where it's just too much to handle. Well, we're at the end of our show, and we're still heated. We got a lot more to say, but we can't do that. So I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Have a good weekend.
Be very angry.